Hello and welcome to Precon Decon, the video series where I deconstruct the pre-constructed decks of Magic the Gathering's history. In this video we're going to look at the last deck from Magic 2015, which is Will of the Masses, which is a white and green deck. So let's take a look at the deck list here. So we've got 19 creatures, 10 instants, 6 sorceries, 25 land, mana curve off to the side there. Let's just dive in and start looking at it. So, it's not immediately apparent from the foil face rare, but the theme of the deck is Convoke, which is a mechanic which was brought back, in the way that these kind of more modern core sets do. They bring back an old keyword from a previous set, which is interesting. It is just a shame that the foil face rare Phyto Titan doesn't really have anything to do with Convoke. So it's 4 and double green for a 7/2, so very big beefy stats. When it dies, and it will because it only has 2 toughness, it gets returned to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control at the beginning of their next upkeep. I don't know what to think about it. I mean, yeah, it's cool. It's a big creature that never really dies. It's always just going to keep coming back into play tapped. I just just wish it had, I don't know, just literally any kind of synergy with the deck, or it's just it is also just a 7/2, I suppose. And yeah, just having 2 toughness obviously makes it very very frail. I'm not saying this is like a bad card, because I think it does obviously have some synergies. This obviously I think this more belongs in a deck that's going to have like some sort of sacrifice synergy, so you just can keep sacrificing it for benefits or whatever. If you've got death triggers, that kind of thing, or stuff that cares about when something enters the battlefield, because this is going to keep coming back into play. I'm not really sure it's doing much in this deck personally, so I might be wrong there. If I've critically misread something or missed a good interaction, then stick a comment below. But it feels like a weird card to have as the foil face right here, because it doesn't really synergize with Convoke because it comes back into play tapped, so then it can't be used to Convoke stuff. So yeah, just feels weird to me. Hornet Queen, I think, is a much better rare to have here. So 4 and triple green, which unfortunately the triple green hurts it in a 2-color deck, but it's fine. Also, it's also really expensive, but 7 mana. But it is quite it is a strong effect. So it's a 2/2 with flying and death touch. The fact it's a green creature with flying is kind of weird, and usually don't see that. But whatever. It's fine. It's fine. Everyone calm down. It's a green creature with flying. It's fine. And when it ends the battlefield, you put 4 1/1 green insect creature tokens with flying and death touch onto the battlefield. So for 7 mana, you're adding 6 power to the board, and it's all got flying, it's all got evasion, and it's all got death touch, which means it trades with anything basically. And this obviously works really well with the deck as well, because now you've got 5 creatures out who can help you Convoke for your other stuff, because you've got a lot of spells in the and creatures in the deck that have Convoke. So spending 7 to essentially get 5 more mana out, I suppose, if you want to look at it that way, is pretty good. And also, it's just a good creature to have anyway. I'm not 100% sure if there's any ways to abuse the enter the battlefield effect, or to get it back. This actually would have been maybe quite nice in the blue-green deck we looked at, where it was all about enter the battlefield effects, and had some effects that you could get stuff back into play or back into hand and cast it again. But Hornet Queen is good here. I think it's better than Phyto Titan, and there we go. That's the summary. So then moving on to the actual Convoke cards in the deck. So we've got 2 Siege Worms. So this is a reprint from original Ravnica. So 5 and double green for a 5/5. Has Convoke. So Convoke, if you're not familiar with it, it has shown up very recently in March of the Machine. Where it was weirdly mostly in red-blue, which was very strange. Convoke was in every color except blue in M15, which was really interesting. It was really interesting at the time to see black and red cards with Convoke, because up until then it only been in green and white, because it was like the Selesnya keyword in Ravnica. But anyway. Convoke is, I really actually like this reminder text because it's very intuitive. It's not written in Magic-ese. Your creatures can help cast this spell. Each creature you tap while casting the spell pays for 1 colorless or 1 mana of the creature's color. Siege Worm is normally 7, or you can tap. You can basically pay any combination of 7 mana from lands or mana rocks or tap 7 creatures. You can do any combination of that to cast it, which is interesting. And it obviously plays well to a deck that wants to go wide with a bunch of creatures and creature tokens, because then for Convoke spells, all your creatures are essentially mana dogs, which is really interesting. And it's just a 5/5 trample when it comes down, but it's the potential like you could get this down, for less than 7 mana, or I mean it's still 7 mana, but you know what I mean. You without using mana from like without using proper mana, you're using creatures to get it down. So we've got 2 living totems. So 3 in a green for a 2/3 has Convoke. When it ends the battlefield, you may put a +1/+1 counter on each on another type creature, which is fine. It's okay, I think, for 4 mana. I think what makes like a good Convoke creature is that like it still feels okay if you don't convoke it. It still has an okay effect. So I think like for 4 mana, a 2/3 that puts a +1/+1 counter on something else, like that's okay for 4 mana, at common. So I think that's like usually a good sign of a good convoke creature. Like if you get it for cheaper by convoking stuff, then you're laughing because then you've got a good bargain for it. So yeah, I think this is perfectly fine. Obviously, it's not too exciting, but it's okay. We've got 2 Seraph of the Masses, so 5 and double white for an XX, has Convoke, has Flying, and its parent offers each equal to the number of creatures you control. So obviously this is really pushing you to go wide, have a bunch of creatures, convoke it out, get it out, and then it's a really big creature because hopefully you convoked it out with a bunch of creatures, and then it's a big flyer. So yeah, it's fine. Nice synergy there. And then 2 Willforged Golem, 6 mana for a 4/4 with Convoke. Yeah, it's very straightforward. And then that is it for the Convoke creatures. There's quite a few spells with Convoke, but in terms of creatures, that was it. But we've got like some other creatures here that interact well with Convoke, I feel. So we've got 2 Midnight Guard. So 2 and a white for a 2/3. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, untap Midnight Guard. So Midnight Guard is absolute combo fuel, right? Because I'm trying to think of like the one that always springs to mind immediately is like Splinter Twin or like Elemental Mastery from Lorwyn. He's got a free untap effect when another creature enters the battlefield. Like that's not hard to go infinite with. Presence of Gond was another one back in the day that like this guy comboed infinitely with very little effort. In here he's interesting because you can use him to convoke something, convoke maybe like a creature spell, you cast it and then he untaps and then you can use him to convoke for something else. That's interesting. So Midnight Guard is great and is absolute combo fuel. Not living up to his full potential in this deck, but in other constructed formats, he's absolute gold card. Love it. We've got 2 Selfless Cathar, so 1 white mana for a 1/1. You can pay 1 and a white, sacrifice it to give all your creatures +1/+1 turn. It's a green-white deck. You're going wide to convoke all these stuff, so you want a bunch of tokens and stuff. So yeah, this plays well to it. Gives you a whole ball +1/+1. It's fine. We've got 2 Sunblade Elf, 1 green for a 1/1. It gets +1/+1 as long as you control the planes. You can pay 4 and a white to give your creatures +1/+1 turn. So early game, it's a 2/2 for only like 1 mana potentially, and then late game it's a mana sink where you can buff your board. Again, it's fine. It's perfectly fine, I think. And then Wall of Mulch, which really confuses me in the inclusion. So 1 and a green for a 0/4 with Defender, fine. You can pay 1 green and sacrifice a wall to draw a card. This is the only wall in the deck, and it was such a weird reprint, right? Because from what I can remember, there's I think there was maybe a wall in every color in M15. I feel like there was, right? Because I feel like the black-white deck had the Wall of Limbs or whatever. The deck we just looked at, the red-blue one, has Wall of Frost. The white had Wall of Essence or Essence Wall or whatever. So there we go. So maybe there was a wall in every color, and they wanted people to do some weird 5-color wall tribe. I don't know. Was that a thing in Limited? Did someone push for a 5-color wall deck in Limited if you drew the cards for it? So it's just a weird card to include in it because it's just 2 mana for a 0/4 defender that can sacrifice itself to draw a card. Sure. It's just a weird inclusion in the deck though. Just really wish it had just been almost literally anything else, but it is still card draw, I suppose, and you can convoke away and whatever. It's fine. And then 2 Oreska Swiftclaw, just 2 mana for a 3/1. Yeah, it's fine, whatever. So then moving on to the non-creature spells. So we've got a single Nissa's Expedition. So 4 and a green, has Convoke. You search the library for 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. So This is one more expensive than Explosive Vegetation. The upside being you can get it for cheaper by convoking. So yeah, it's fine. Potentially if you did this like turn 3, that would actually be pretty strong. I think to do essentially double rampant growth on turn 3 would be pretty strong. So yeah, it's all right. A single Gather Courage, and this is such a shame. There's only one of them, and they buffed it up to uncommon as well, which is really weird. So it's just single green mana, gives +2/+2 to turn. It has Convoke as well. It's a shame there's only one of these, and it's a shame it's uncommon. Which just means there's going to be less of it in the deck. It's still fine as a buff spell because it can be cast for free potentially. It's just a shame there's only one of them, but yeah, it's still okay. A single Overwhelm, so 5 and double green, has Convoke. Creature you control get +3/+3 until end turn. Now, this was in the original Selesnya deck back in the original Ravnica, and I'm going to repeat what I said there. This sort of plays against itself, so it's a really good effect. Obviously, +3/+3. It's no Overrun. Overrun gives trample, so Overrun is just better. But it's 7 mana. So it's a spell you want to convoke, right, to get the effect for cheaper. But if you convoke it, then there's the potential that the more creatures you spend to convoke it, the fewer creatures are getting the bonus and being able to actually use it for then combat because they're tapped. So yeah. And you could say, oh well, you just convoke stuff that's got like summoning sickness that you've played this turn. But then that's such a weird. I mean, you could do that, of course, but then you're spending mana to cast enough things to make convoking this. It's you see where I'm coming from here. I think Overwhelm is fine. I think it's fine, but I do it does play against itself, and from what I remember, I don't think there's any ways of like mass untapping your stuff here, so you can't do the tap everything for Overwhelm, cast another spell that untaps all your creatures, and then they can all swing. Could be wrong. Can't remember what's in the deck, so we'll see. But yeah, I'm not super keen on Overwhelm, honestly. I think just normal Overrun is better. And then 2 Feral Incarnations, so 8 and a green, so super expensive at 9 mana. But you convoke it, and you put and you make 3 green. You make 3/3/3 green beasts, which is again like fine. It's just super expensive, and like I don't know at what point you need to convoke this to where it feels like a good deal. I guess get it down to what 6 mana. And then 6 mana for like 9 power on the board is okay, maybe. I don't know. It's okay, but yeah, just feels very expensive. It goes back to what I said about like the convoke cost, like convoke card feeling okay, like if you cast it without convoking anything. I've said convoke so much it's lost all meaning, but yeah, I hope you get what I mean. So then we've got Triplicate Spirits, so 4 and double white has Convoke. You make 3 1/1 spirits with flying. So again, also very expensive. If you look at this at being like basically like 2 mana for each 1/1 flyer. I suppose you could look at it that way, but again, like it's at sorcery speed. It's very expensive. At least it's making tokens which you can then, and the same with Feral Incarnation, which you can then convoke more stuff with. But I don't know. Just feels kind of a bit clunky to me, maybe. But not saying it's dreadful. Just I don't know. I don't know. It's okay. I suppose it's okay. Devouring Light is great though. I won't hear a bad word against Devouring Light. So 1 and double white. Exile an attacking or blocking creature has Convoke. This feels amazing. Like speaking from experience, this feels amazing when you get to cast it for free on something that's attacking you because you can do all your blocks, and then tap everything that you've already assigned to block, and then Devouring Light something. This feels amazing when you can cast it for free, or even just like 1 or 2. Like this, this is a really strong convoke card. This feels really good. So really happy there's 2 of them here actually. And then a single meditation puzzle, 3 and double white, has Convoke. You gain 8 life. At least it's at instant speed, I suppose, so you can do it like at end of opponent's turn, like if they've not attacked or anything. I guess, it's fine, but it's just life gain, isn't it? So then we got 3 Raise the Alarms. So 1 and white, you make 2 soldier tokens, which is perfectly fine. Instant speed. you're making more tokens. There's actually a lot of token makers in this deck, which is really interesting. I would like to know actually, because I still don't think the intro decks were coming with token cards in them. But like, if anyone did have this deck, please like stick a comment below. Like, if it did come with some tokens, I don't think it would have. But if it did, I'd be interested to know. But like, if it didn't, this is like actually this would be hard to play kind of straight out of the box, right? To because you got flying spirits, you got beasts, you got soldiers. I'm sure there was something else. Sure, there was something else, some other token that made. You got those three. Like, oh, you got the insects that Hornet Queen makes. Well, so you got like at least four different types of tokens there to keep track of. Which yeah, if you're playing this straight out of the box, it would be different to do. I say unless it came with tokens, and if it did, please let me know in the comments. But I'm going to imagine that it didn't. Anyway. Raise the Alarm is good. It adds tokens to the board. You want to go wide. It helps you convoke stuff. Yeah, it's great. We like Raise the Alarm. We like there's three of them in there. Yeah. We've got a single Sanctified Charge, 4 and a white. Creatures you control get +2/+1 to end turn. White creatures you control also get first strike to end turn. So even this turning like one of the Raise the Alarm tokens, the soldier tokens, into a 3/2 with first strike, yeah, that's potentially very scary. You've got like a lot of white creatures in the deck anyway. This is a card I feel should have Convoke as well, but I'm kind of I mean, it doesn't make the card worse if it does. If it does have Convoke, it's only upside to have Convoke. But yeah, this is like a pretty solid, like again, board wide buff, and it's instant speed, which makes it much better. So yeah, like this. And it's at common as well, which feels like this feels really strong at common actually. Anyway. Then a single Titanic Growth, 1 and a green to give +4/+4 to end turn. I think in this deck it's better than Gather Courage, isn't it? Because like Gather Courage is only +2/+2, and it's why is it uncommon? Like I'm really annoyed that Gather Courage was uncommon. Yeah, I think Titanic Growth is just better. Honestly. And then a single Naturalize for some utility, and then 13 Forests and 12 Plains. So let's think about what could have been better here. So just going to say Ephemeral Shields was a Convoke spell that wasn't included, and this is quite nice, I think. So it's 1 and a white with Convoke and gives your creature indestructible until end turn. Oh, is that worth saying? That indestructible becomes a keyword here? Because up till now, it was like, how to describe it? It was kind of like a kind of passive thing. Like it would say like, oh, card name is indestructible. But now I think starting with M15 going forward, like indestructible is now a keyword. So you can say target creature gains indestructible in turn rather than target creature is indestructible until end of turn, if that makes sense. So indestructible is now a keyword. Anyway, I think Ephemeral Shields could have gone in here easily because it's a nice cheap combat trick to make something indestructible until end turn. That could have been good. And then what I was also thinking is could have had these paragons in here. So these recycle in M15. They're one in every color, and basically what they will do, they give an anthem effect for creatures of their color, and then you can pay usually just one mana and tap them to give a creature of their color a color appropriate keyword to turn. So of course the red one gives haste because of course it does. They always do. But I thought these could go in here because you are going wide on a board, you are making a lot of tokens, so giving them +1/+1 would have been pretty good, and giving them trample potentially or vigilance. I just think these paragons could have worked out here pretty well. The thing is, I found with the paragons, it's a bit weird actually because they give a creature of a creature of that color a keyword that creatures of that color will most likely have. I'm not saying that all white creatures have vigilance or whatever, but like a lot of them do, and it's the same with like the red one. It gives haste, but like a lot of red creatures already have haste. I don't know. That's such a weird such a weird criticism to have of them. What I'm saying is these paragons could have been here quite easily because you're making a lot of tokens, you're going wide. Just buffing up your board would have been good, I think. So yeah, no alternate rares I could think of. There was, I was really surprised actually. I don't think there was a single white or green rare that really had anything to do with Convoke or any kind of synergies with it. So yeah, apart from say Hornet Queen, maybe obviously that's already in here. That has some synergies. But yeah, Fighter Titan is just a weird choice, and there he is again, being weird on the front cover. So yeah, I think this is okay. Honestly, I have some experience playing with Convoke. It's okay. Yeah, it just I don't know if it works out too well here. Like some of the new Convoke cards are okay, but like actually I do feel like the better new Convoke cards in the set were actually in red and black, and that would have been maybe interesting to have like maybe like a red white Convoke deck or make the black white deck rather than life gain. That could have been a convoke. That could have been all about convoke, I suppose. But yeah, I don't know. That is a whole different what could have been, which I'm probably not going to do, honestly. So yeah, this one's okay. I think I'm not too impressed by it. I find it a little boring, honestly. But what are your thoughts on the deck after seeing it? If you got any thoughts or comments or stories or opinions about the deck or any of the cards in it, I say if you had this one and if it came with tokens, please let me know because that'd be really interesting to know. But I think I would almost assume 100% that it didn't come with tokens, so it probably would have been a nightmare to play out of the box if you had nothing nothing to represent tokens with. But anyway, so we're done with M15 now. So we're going to move on to the next set. Is going to be Khans of Tarkir, which is a really interesting block to talk about. It's the last set I played with when it was new. So after that, it's going to be completely uncharted waters. But Khans of Tarkir is super cool. I really like it. It's a really really fun, like flavorful set. Like I think like card quality wise, it's maybe a bit all over the place. When it starts off initially, I think it gets better. But we'll start that next time. So that'll be fun to do and fun to talk about. But so yeah, we'll see you next time. So until then, thanks for watching and listening, and have a great day.